From stories across the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Nitya Delivera.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
14 persons die in the Pasteur bus accident. The police say the cause of accident is careless driving. The President reiterates that media freedom does not mean the freedom of the Media Institute owners. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh signed 6 memorandums of understanding. Major General Priyanka Fernando has been acquitted from all charges levelled against him in Britain. The National Drugs Regularization Authority approves the importation of the Sinopharm vaccine of China to Sri Lanka. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan is afflicted with the COVID-19 disease. The Sri Lanka Legends team enters the final.
In your top story this evening, 14 passengers were killed when a bus met with an accident at the 13th milepost area in Badula this morning. 32 people were injured. A private bus which was travelling from Lunugala to Colombo fell off the road at around 7:15 a.m. and fell into a precipice about 200 feet. The accident was recorded in a nearby CCTV camera. It is reported that there were nearly 60 passengers in the bus at the time of the accident. The injured passengers were rushed to the hospital by the police and local residents.
And meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa reiterates that media freedom is not the freedom of the Media Institute owners. He further points out that the media groups which were against the country during the war period are once again acting against the present government. The President had made these remarks participating in the 15th Gamma Samaga Pilisandara program in Jompuwala in Walapani in the Nuwara Eliya district today. The Jompuwala Gramadadahari division is located 13 kilometers away from the Walapani town. The Gramadadahari division has been identified as the most remote village among the Gramadadahari divisions in the Walapani Divisional Secretariat Division. 397 persons belonging to 39 families are living in the Jompuwala village. The President was warmly welcomed by the people who have lined up along the road leading to Jompuwala from Nildanda in the public grounds where the President has arrived to participate in the Gamma Samaga Pilisandara program. The President has focused attention on the problems presented by the people. The villagers have called on the President to find a sustainable solution to the long-standing problem of crop damages caused by wild beasts. Thereafter, the President has reached the venue of the main meeting where he was accorded a rousing reception. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the people in the country have elected him for a period of 60 months. 14 months have already elapsed. The President added that he is bound to fulfill the amount of work entrusted to him during the 60-month period. He said that, however, certain groups in the country are trying to obstruct the process by launching numerous accusations while he is engaged in duties. It is important to develop the proper manner the roads of the country. The road accidents such as the one occurred in Pasteur today today would become unavoidable due to the narrowness of roads. Therefore, road reconstruction in the proper manner is extremely important. The President added that some people accuse them of environmental destructions. However, this is a false accusation. The government has a clear understanding on the environmental issue. The President has recalled how he had taken relevant measures to turn the Colombo and the suburbs into towns of greenery as Secretary of the Urban Development Ministry under the regime of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He added that he took measures to set up parks, tree planting as well as and to control urban flooding. The forest as well as rivers have to be protected. The President further said that he has inquired into the media accusations regarding environmental destructions. He added that it is wrong to destabilize the government program through propaganda of false information. Many unauthorized constructions have been carried out in forest areas during the previous government. He added that when President Mahinda Rajapaksa was taking measures to end the war, similar false propagandas were carried out to destabilize the situation. The President further said that the people of the country should clearly understand the situation. The people in the village had the opportunity to directly present their grievances to the President. The President, upon focusing on the people's problems, has instructed the relevant sections to immediately fill the teacher shortage in schools in the area. He has given the orders to the education officials to develop infrastructure facilities in schools including Talangawat Navodaya Secondary School, Arunodaya Hindu College, Sakkalembu Mahavidyalaya and Uduma Kubra Vidyalaya Pradeepa Secondary School. It has also been decided to upgrade Madulla Secondary School as the national school, and another fact reiterated by the President was the program to generate 100,000 more jobs to uplift the conditions of the low-income earners. Financial allocations have also been provided for the development of infrastructure facilities in 12 Dhamma schools. Land disputes in 13 Gramanidadhari divisions have been identified. The President has instructed the relevant sections to resolve the problems and hand over the deeds. He has also ordered to reconstruct all elephant fences as a remedy to wild elephant problem. The villagers have pointed out that fines and turpentine are threats to environment. The President has ordered the environmental authorities to remove these trees and to replant local forest trees varieties. He has also ordered to popularize coffee cultivation throughout the districts. Instructions have been provided for the development of the infrastructure facilities in the rural hospitals of Valapane, Bhagavantalawa, Nildandahinna, Mathurata and Therippe. Attention has been also focused to resolve the shortage of doctors, nurses and minor health staff in the district. The President has also instructed to set up an army camp catering on the Valapane to confront any security or emergency disaster situation. A proposal has been made to plant Kadru Okomarika crops in abundant paddy fields where cultivations are not possible. Handing over of allowances to families which are heated to enjoy ownership of state lands without title deeds have commenced recently. The President has symbolically handed over such allowance cards to 5 families in Valapane Divisional Secretariat Division. Minister C.B. Ratnayaka, Central Province Governor Lalit Jugamage, State Minister Jeevan Thondaman, Parliamentarians S.P. Disanayaka, Nimal Pietissa, Rameshwaran Marutupandi, President's Chief Advisor Lalit Veeratunga, Minister Secretaries and heads of state institutions and security divisions have also attended the event.
Now, today is the second day of the official visit of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in Bangladesh. He met Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Mrs. Sheikh Hasina, this morning. The meeting took place at the Prime Minister's office in Dhaka City. 6 agreements of understanding between the two countries have been signed on this occasion. The Bangladeshi Prime Minister warmly welcomed the Sri Lankan Prime Minister upon his arrival at the office. Attention has been focused on the successful continuation of bilateral relations in the fields of economy, investment, trade, technology, as well as in agriculture, fisheries and political relations. Prime Minister Hasina has commended the measures taken by the Sri Lankan government to control the spread of COVID-19. She added that the Sri Lankan government's program to control the disease through expediting the process of vaccination while keeping the country open could be clearly understood. The Bangladeshi leader further said that the Sri Lankan government has taken several special measures to safeguard the general public. She praised the measures taken to hand over incentive payments to the masses in order to strengthen their livelihood and medical supplies. The Bangladeshi Prime Minister also said that her country will dispatch to Sri Lanka in due course a stock of equipment necessary to control the pandemic. These items will be sent under the COVID-19 Emergency Fund of the SAARC organization. Mrs. Hasina also focused on the need to build an economy inherent of the SAARC zone. She further said that educational opportunities are available for Sri Lankan students in the universities of Bangladesh. She has called on Sri Lankan students to come to Bangladesh for their higher education. Another topic that came under discussion was the enhancement of air travel, tourism industry and trade between the two countries. Representatives of both countries focused attention on the need to re-update the Joint Advisory Commission in order to implement the pact signed between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh in recent years. The two parties have also discussed ways and means to consolidate on technical levels of cooperation between central banks of the two countries. Both countries have expressed agreement for the implementation of necessary strategies for the elimination of terrorism and human trafficking. Opinions were also exchanged regarding further strengthening of bilateral level cooperation as the two countries are scheduled to celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations next year. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa stated during the talk that the best wishes of the Sri Lankan people headed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa are hereby extended to the friendly people of Bangladesh. The Prime Minister also extended an invitation to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to engage in an official tour of Sri Lanka next year. The Bangladeshi Prime Minister extended an invitation to the Sri Lankan Prime Minister and members of his family to engage in a private tour of Bangladesh. Upon conclusion of talks, 6 agreements of bilateral understanding between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have been signed in the presence of the two prime ministers. The Prime Minister visited the Lanka Bangladesh Commemoration Museum as well. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on the sidelines of his state tour also paid tribute at the memorial to commemorate those who sacrificed their lives on behalf of the struggle for independence in Bangladesh. Many Bangladeshi diplomats and officials were present at the event. Thereafter, the Prime Minister made a special note in the visitor's book. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister planted a sapling in the premises of the memorial to commemorate heroes who had laid down their lives for the independence. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa attended a dinner hosted by the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last night. A cultural concert also took place.
And the British Westminster High Court has decided to change its earlier verdict on Major General Priyanka Fernando. The office of the Sri Lanka High Commissioner in London says that the court has taken this decision upon examination of an appeal submitted by Major General Priyanka Fernando against a verdict delivered by the same judiciary in the year 2019. A group was engaged in a protest in support of the LTTE organisation in front of the High Commissioner's office in London at the 70th National Independence Day of Sri Lanka on the 4th of February 2018. A case was filed against Major General Priyanka Fernando in 2018 over charges of making threats through hand signalling to the group. The Westminster High Court of Britain had given its verdict on the 6th of December 2019, ordering Fernando to pay a fine of £2,400 sterling. He was found guilty of breaching the public law and order of act and betrayal. However, the same court has acquitted Priyanka Fernando from all charges after considering the appeal submitted by him.
Now, in the meantime, approval of the National Drugs Regularization Authority have been received for the importation of the Sinopharm vaccine of China to Sri Lanka. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasemana has disclosed this fact. The State Minister says that the Chinese government has already informed Sri Lanka that 600,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccine will be provided. The epidemiology unit says that the AstraZeneca vaccine has so far been provided to 824,523 persons under the COVID-19 inoculation program. 8,938 persons were vaccinated yesterday. The vaccination program has been carried out for the 51st day today. The number of recoveries from COVID-19 has reached 86,466, a percentage of 96.44. Another 2,645 patients are continuously undergoing treatment. Another 158 COVID-19 patients were detected in the island today, all of them close associates of the Paliagoda cluster. 6 COVID-19 related deaths were reported yesterday from Polgahavela, Suduhumpola, Vattala, Pitakota, Ganemulla and Sheela Vathura.
And meanwhile, the inauguration ceremony to introduce the use of QR codes or quick response codes by the National Savings Banks was held in Kandy today. The ceremony was graced by Minister Kehalia Rambukwella. The intention of introducing the BOS system is to motivate people to use digital currency and internet currency via the technology of the internet. The chairman of the National Savings Banks, Mr. Keshula Jawardena, who took the initiative in introducing the QR code methodology, was felicitated at the event. A group of local representatives were present at this event. Minister Dr. Kehalia Rambukwella emphasized the importance
Now, management of media does not mean the control of media. Not at all. It can be interpreted completely a different way, saying that we are trying to control the media. We are not going to control the media. We want the free media to follow. We want free media to move forward. At the same time, we want right media and, as she rightly said, disciplined and ethical media to move forward, which is lacking. And that is the reason of this birth of this institution. The necessity arose on one point. Because the government of Sri Lanka now has, by popular vote, has elected a government, and elected a government. The president was elected by 6.9 million votes, and the parliament almost 2/3, which was basically a dream in terms of the constitution. But it became a reality for whatever the reason. Now the government has been given, mandated for 5 years of work. And let us work for that 5 years. If you are bad, then there's a term that they can use that after the appropriate time, and we will go to the public and the public will respond. I think we are doing some great work at the moment. Now, we have basically implemented most difficult ones. Say, for instance, 100,000 jobs. Then we started with 50,000 graduates who was on the most of the time they spend at the Lipton Circle carrying placards. Then with regard to the housing, let us say we started doing one house for each Grama Sevaka division. You have 14,022 if I remember right, and you are building 14,022 houses without much hassle. The posters have never appeared, right? But things are happening. In fact, 2018, the Housing Ministry allocated 338 million for publicity. In fact, they are indebted to Rupavahini to the tune of 103 million. We are writing letters to the present minister, the Prime Minister, to settle the bill. Right? But it was by the previous. So, we have not spent one single cent In fact, we are giving 600,000. If you calculate the number of the amount of money that they have spent on publicity, that's another nearly 700 houses. Right? So we have got enormous amounts of good work that's been put into practice. I'm not saying that the worst part of it should not be publicized, but then similarly they should also carry out the good part of it. Unfortunately, here the good part is completely submerged, and there is no whatsoever, no concern about it. But the bad side or the worst side is being added with a lot of additions. They've been published. The public has the right to change governments or to empower governments. But the government that is empowered by the public is given 5 years of rule, 5 years of governance. So I'm only asking, this 5 years of governance, let us govern, let everybody help us to do.
Minister Dr. Kela Rabukwal emphasized the importance of an organized media management system in order to safeguard the rights of journalists as well as citizens in the country. The minister expressed these views at a discussion held at the Northern Provincial Governor's Office yesterday. The discussion was held regarding the media contribution to development activities in the Northern Province, while also looking into the issues they face. The minister also emphasized that the media management neither media censorship nor media repression. He further stated that the government has no interest in repressing the media. And meanwhile, a committee has been appointed to investigate and submit recommendations to the government regarding those who gave wrong definitions of the character of the Lord Buddha, the sacred Tripitaka and sacred places of Buddhist worship, and propagate misconceptions on Buddhism. This has been an outcome of a written request made by the Mahanayak Theras of the three Nikayas from the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The request has been formally made when the Buddhist Advisory Committee met for the 9th occasion at the President's office yesterday. The committee is comprised of Pura Vidya Chakravarti Venerable Ella Velamedananda, Chief Incumbent of Vidyodaya Piribana Venerable Balangada Sobita, Deputy Registrar of the Asgiriya Chapter Venerable Marampanave Ananda, Chief Registrar of the Asgiriya Mahavihara Chapter of the Siam Mahanikaya Venerable Madagamadam Mananda, Deputy Registrar of the Ramaja Mahanikaya Venerable Nadagamu Vijay Maitri, Chancellor of the Rajarata University and Chief Incumbent of Birisavati Vihara Venerable Italavatinu Vijnana Tilaka, Venerable Professor Madagoda Betisa, Venerable Professor Induragari Dambaratana, and Venerable Dr. Kirinde Asaji Theras. The Mahasangha has pointed out the President on this occasion that the Sri Lanka is the headquarters of the Theravada Buddhism. They added that the imposters of the Buddhist and fraudulent bhikkhus are engaged in attempts to destroy fundamental teachings of Buddhism. The Mahasangha has also stressed the importance of a program to defeat the well-advised conspiracy to destroy pure Theravada Buddhist Dhamma and academically eliminate divorced ideologies of the false conceptions. These false preachers on conspirations are involved in organized maneuverings to launch or insult and accusations on genuine bhikkhus who engage in efforts to safeguard the Sambuddha Sasana and the sacred Tripitaka. The Mahasangha has also expressed concerns over the programs being carried out by certain social media networks in this connection and reiterated the need to focus immediate attention in these respects. Discussions have also been conducted on this occasion to regularize the occasions which are being carried out under the guise of healing of diseases through prayers and worship. The conservation of the sacred Tripitaka means the safeguarding of the Buddhist heritage and culture. The Mahasangha has further pointed out that the objective will not be fulfilled merely declared in the sacred Tripitaka as a world heritage, but they have also pointed out a need to speedily draft the Tripitaka Conservation Act. The Mahasangha since the memorial times have been exerting magnanimous commitments to safeguard the environment, the plant and animal species. A bhikkhu never damages the environment and never allows others to do so. 75% of the population in Sri Lanka is comprised of rural people. They have been subjected to long-standing economic and social problems. The Mahasangha have commended the exemplary act of the President to visit from village to village to look into the grievances of the people and to provide necessary remedies. They have also requested the President not to call off this program in the face of bogus propaganda activities of certain disgruntled elements. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that he is committed to the maximum extent to safeguard the regulation as well as our heritage. The President further said that he is engaged in discussions with the Mahasangha to ascertain their views and proposals on safeguarding our heritage and religion. It has been pointed out that the certain forces are being activated to destabilize the program carried out by the government. State Ministers Vidura Vikramanayake and Vijay Deverugoda, President's Chief Advisor Lalit Veeratunga and other officials have also attended the discussion.
An Air Force officer has been killed and a sergeant severely wounded in an unanticipated accident while engaging in parachute training at the Ampara camp of the Sri Lanka Air Force this morning. They met with the accident due to intermingling of the two parachutes they were using. There's been a sudden change in the wind direction in the upper skies around 40 to 70 feet high from the land surface prior to the descent of the two Air Force personnel onto ground. One of the victims, Squadron Leader Manoj Padmatilaka, passed away upon admission to the Ampara General Hospital. The other victim, Sergeant Abekon, is undergoing treatment at the intensive care unit of the hospital. The deceased, Padmatilaka, was a married person and a resident in Polgolla. The Air Force headquarters say that the Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Pathiran has appointed a special investigation committee to look into the incident. The two officials were reported to have been assigned for duties in the Vani camp of the SLAF and have commenced parachute training at the Ampara Air Force Base on the 11th of January this year.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do just tomorrow at the very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.